So with everything going on in the film industry, especially the indie film industry, everything looks very bleak and depressing, especially if you're on social media. It just seems like everyone's thinking that the film industry is dead or dying. And I don't believe that at all. I think it's definitely changing, and I think it's one of those things where the old way of doing things is completely dying out, and that there's going to have to be a new way for indie film to make a comeback. I still think there's a hunger for indie films and for original films, and there have been some successes this year for sure that you can see, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, in general, A24 is making original content and they have a lot of successful films, so it just shows that there is a way to do it. But, you know, it can't be the old cliches of the past. It can't be, you know, the big studios that are really risk averse and are really just pumping out sequels and remakes or established IP. They're not going to take the risk. So it's up to indie filmmakers basically to really be the original thinkers, and that's the only way that I think you're going to have success as an indie filmmaker on a smaller budget, is by telling original stories. And if you remember back even 20 years ago, you had films like Good Will Hunting and Garden State and indie films like that that did really well. And Garden State, for example, wasn't a massive budget, and it did extremely well. And still, even today, everyone knows that movie, everyone loves that movie, iconic soundtrack, and there was just a lot of originality to it. And Zach Braff has talked about that when they were trying to get funding for it, he couldn't find any funding for it. And that's when he was already doing Scrubs. So if he can't get funding, it's like, okay, it's like harder than you think to make an indie film no matter who you are. So he was able to do it and raise funds. But again, no matter what, it's not a given. Indie filmmaking is harder, and original films are harder because people are more risk averse. So you have to find funding from private investors, equity investors, and more than likely not a lot of these studios or production companies that don't want to take the risk. And there are things that are harder. Also, theatrical releases for any movie are harder now, even studios. Streaming deals are lower as well. So I think there's a huge change happening where there's going to be way more indie filmmakers that are going to either have to self-distribute, that's one avenue, or they're going to have to act like their own sales agent and really go and sell it to every individual territory, like literally Japan, UK, Australia, and have literally 20, 30 distributors to really make sure that your film gets seen the most and gets the best deal, and that you make enough money. Because the reality is, you can't do the thing that you used to do where you give your film to a sales agent who's already taking 15, 20%, whatever he's taking, and then you're giving it to distributors as well, or he is, and now you're almost at 40, 50% of your revenue gone no matter what deals you have. That is a lot. You can't afford to do that anymore. I think you need to act as your own sales agent, and in some cases even completely self-distribute, so you're not giving those percentages away, those big percentages. But there's also a world where if you get the right deals and the right distributors, it can be definitely beneficial still to go through more traditional distribution. But I think something like worldwide deals is not the way to go for the vast majority of indie films. And I think going individual territories, like I said, 20, 25 different countries, that's the way to go. And that's what I did recently with a film that I'm selling currently. I sold one deal to Japan, and that's, you know, not a common territory that everyone finds an individual distributor. A lot of times they maybe sell Asia as a big territory of multiple countries. But what we did is I sold it to Japan, and they're now going to push for a theatrical release, and which will be amazing because this movie was made for a tiny budget. It was made for under $1 million and way less, honestly. And that's pretty unheard of. So now we're going to use that to go into other territories and get countries like Germany, UK, and get more of that, and maybe we can have a good international theatrical run and maybe a limited US run, and maybe we get to 50, 100, maybe 200 screens. That would be amazing, and that's pretty good for a movie that's made for so little, and that's an indie film, but takes a lot of effort. Like, I've probably reached out to something like 400 or 500 distributors. I didn't even know that there were that many distributors in the world, and there's way more. There's like 1,000 or whatever. I think it's more than 1,000. I'm still working through the list, and that's not everyone's doing that, and very rarely are people doing that because it's a lot of effort. It's like most of the time when you finish a movie, you put all this effort, energy into making film, then you think you just want to hand it off because you're finally done, but you're only halfway there at that point nowadays. So it's like then the other 50% start with distribution and marketing, and that takes a lot of time. So either you need to spend a lot of time yourself on it, which is what I'm doing currently, or you need to hire like an assistant, or maybe if you're a production company, an intern, and then have them help you with it. But no matter what, you need to be very involved in it to make this still work. And the great thing is with doing that, you also have, obviously, not only are you getting your film more widely seen and just more eyes, it's just more likely. If you have 20, 25 distributors really pushing for your film individually, then even if you do get a bad egg or two, or even 5 of these distributors that don't work out well, and that happens all the time, you know. There's plenty of stories of filmmakers that they make a movie, hand it off to a distributor for worldwide rights, and they don't see a dime, and it rarely gets seen, and it maybe goes on Amazon and iTunes, which you could have done with self-distribution basically for free. So that makes no sense to me. So I think you need to spread your risk and go to individual distributors to have a chance, and you're not giving up that larger percentage then, because 50%, if you're giving up 40-50%, you're not making a lot of money. And in addition, they have their marketing spend and all these other fees that they put on that can be anywhere from 5K to 20K. I've seen different amounts, and that's a lot. You know, your movie has to make a lot of money for you to see any type of significant return, and then you don't pay your investors back either. And if you never pay your investors back, you're not going to be making a lot of movies, because you're not going to get a lot of return clients or return investors. Your number one goal should be paying your investors back so you can make more movies, because the more you're able to be successful in that, and people trust you and they reinvest, maybe they'll even invest more, but you have to have a proven model. The other thing is, I think you need to, like, especially moving forward and where indie film's going, you need to really create cost-effective films. Easier said than done, obviously, but sometimes you see films. I recently saw this movie The Crow had a remake, right? I saw that the budget was like 50 million, and that's probably excluding marketing and everything, and who knows how much more they spent there. That could have been another 25, 30 million, whatever it is. But they probably spent 60, 70, 80 million on this film, which didn't see a lot of demand for a remake of that. I don't know how they came up with that one was going to be such a big success. So that just seems like some people thinking and picking it based on no research. And then why does it have to be 50 million? 50 million is insane for that type of movie. And then you look at it and you look at the box office, and it made like 20 million bucks or something. It's like no matter what deal they get after their cinema run, and which only made like 20 million or something, maybe a little bit more, it's like they're not getting a deal for another 30, 40, 50 million. So this movie's making a humongous loss, you know. And it's like companies like that, they're just doing the old ways, you know what I mean? They're just these traditional companies that have probably been in film industry for 20, 30 years. And, you know, maybe in the past you could argue like, okay, if 20, 30 years experience in this industry, that's a good thing. It's like, I don't think that's a good thing anymore at all. I think you need brand new thinking, you need innovation, you need way outside the box thinking. You don't need these guys that have been here 20, 30 years that are just doing the same old way that doesn't work at all anymore. That's just how you're gonna blow your money, you know, and you're not making great movies. So I think there needs to be a completely new way, and honestly, outsiders probably have a better shot in a lot of ways in making good indie films than people that have been doing this for a long time. And there are, of course, still exceptions, you know, like when you look at a movie like Oppenheimer, Barbie. I mean, Barbie's an established IP, that's different, but Oppenheimer had a huge budget, made a fuckload of money. And that's the exception. It's also Christopher Nolan, and almost everything he touches does really well. Like, so you're dealing with something exceptional, and realistically, audience members and people, when they hear it's a Christopher Nolan movie, and I know me too, like, you want to go see it, you know what I mean? And so it's like, that's a rare thing. You can't count on that exception. So I think for the most part, those type of inflated budgets should be going out the window. Like if you think about something like that, the Crow example I gave you, 50 million, could have made 10 movies of 5 million, that probably overall would have made way more money, and you still had a shot that one of them's a home run. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when A24 made Moonlight, and that was, I think that was a budget of 1 million, 2 million, maybe it was 3. It was somewhere around that area. I forget what the exact number was, but it was pretty low budget for that type of film. And it made a bunch of money. I think it made like 10x what the budget was. huge success. So wouldn't it be better to have 10, 12, 15 chances at those type of movies and spreading again your risk out instead of this one humongous budget in a movie that you don't know is going to pay off? And anyone that tells you that they have a sure thing does not exist. That does not exist in the film industry. You need to be able to spread your risk out. So there needs to be a different way of doing things in that way. Because even if you have established IP, you have a great movie and everything, maybe the timing's not right. Maybe the movie doesn't turn out as well as you guys thought it would. Maybe something out of your control ruins it. You know, maybe one of the lead actors that's on it all of a sudden gets canceled and it's like now no one goes to see your movie. So there's a lot of things out of your control. So it's I don't think it's responsible to bet on one big movie. I think moving forward for more companies like A24, which I hope I hope there's more similar companies to A24. I mean, they're doing their own thing, but if there's room for more companies like that type of thinking, where they're making indie budget movies and original stories, and they're having success, and they're having original marketing campaigns. There is room for that. I think with social media, that's the only way it's still going to work. So how do you make a movie for, let's say, I don't know, let's say you want to make a movie for $1 million, still a lot of money, you know what I mean, but way more doable and seems more achievable than when you say 10, 20, 30 million. Let's say $1 million. So if you're lucky enough to raise that much money and you're able to pull that off, I mean, that's a huge success. But you want to be able to compete with 10 million, 20 million, $30 million movies. You want to compete with them. You want to be up there and be able to make that type of return as well. And you need the right actors as well. You usually need some type of name in there, and it doesn't have to be an A-list name, but some kind of name that hopefully your distributors that you're talking to beforehand and that you're talking to see who has sales value and who doesn't. You're talking to them before deciding on like your main cast. Unless of course you're doing a real genre movie, then maybe you can get away with it. But how do you do that? How do you make that money stretch more than these traditional production companies? Well, I think one of the ways moving forward will be to basically give everyone equity in the film, you know, and this is not something groundbreaking. Maybe it is more for film because they don't do that yet, but it's not groundbreaking in business. You know what I mean? That's why you need new people, new ideas, because startups do this all the time. Like startups, they pay way less, or they pay less than some established company in terms of salary, but they give the opportunity to be there from the start. They give equity, so you have the ability, or there's the chance that it pays off a lot more down the line, you know, way more than some standard salary. And that's, I think, what films need to do, is they need to give equity in the film to all cast members, all crew members, so that there's a chance that people take reduced salaries or reduced wages, so you can come in at the budget. But it also means, as a producer, you're going to also make less money up front, which I think needs to be the case. I think what you make needs to be way less up front and needs to be way more on the back end if the movie's successful. And it needs to be way more equal in terms of cast, crew, producer. There's a lot of stories of producers basically trying to stay cheap and do everything and stuff and make weird sketchy deals so they make more money. I think to make it successful and have an ongoing production company and films long term, you need to be very ethical about this. And you need to basically create these deals that are also weighted for position. You know, a DP would have a different percentage than a PA. And so it'd be weighted for position, and it would be from your percentage or the producer's percentage of the movie, not the investor's percentage. That's still separate. So you're giving a percentage to cast and crew, so it pays off, also gets everyone more invested into the success of the movie, and you get in under budget. But again, the only way you're going to be able to pull that off is if you have people believing in what you're doing. And that means, do they believe your business plan, what you're trying to do? Do they believe in the script, the people attached, the director, everything? And do they believe, and this is what you should explain and have a plan for, what is your plan when the movie is finished in detail, marketing wise, distribution wise? If you have all that, then I think you can get people believing in that because it can work. And then lastly, also really important, is you need to almost act like your own studio, right? And that's the hard part. Like, you also need to act as your own marketing department. And that means that ideally you're setting some money, and whatever you can afford, but like you can spend some money or set it aside as an important part, just like you would have money put aside for a DP or any key position. marketing should be labeled as a key position and not a luxury. So if you have that, then whatever money amount that is helps, because you don't have the money to go spend 5, 6, 7K a month on a Facebook ad agency. You're gonna have to learn this yourself. You're gonna have to run ads yourself, you know what I mean? And learn social media marketing yourself. Then it can work. But you do have to have, in my eyes, there are ways to do it guerrilla style and spend very little money or almost no money, but very tough and also just not as effective. Ideally, you do need a little bit of money, and the more you have in marketing, the better, because you want to be able to spend on ads and things like that. You want to be able to maybe be able to pay YouTube trailers so that it gets out to like a subscriber base of 1 million, 2, 3 million, maybe some kind of influencer thing. There's a lot of things that you can do, but you need some money for. So marketing needs to be basically a key member of your film. And I understand that all of this is obviously really hard, and not just like, oh well, I'll just go ahead and do that. It's like, no, this is a process. You have to learn these skills, you know, and you can always be learning these skills even before you're making a movie, so you're more prepared, you're more ready. But you can, and it's all over the internet, on YouTube, everywhere. You can learn so many skills online. That's the great thing nowadays, that you do so much that you can learn and already learn these skills. And if it's not completely your thing, then get someone else on board as a co-producer or a business producer, whatever you want to do, as someone that believes in what you're saying and your plan, and that can handle that side a bit more, so you guys split responsibilities. I think if you do that, you're gonna have way more of a chance of making your film successful. And I think long term, the only way to make indie film successful is this way. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. You know, any questions or anything like that, definitely comment, and I'll see you guys next week.